Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of epic fantasy romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Delightful. Today is, say it with me, people, it is Friday, woo, January 26th. I apologize for missing last Friday, at which point I was going to tell you that I was going to be missing Monday. So, two podcasts missed. I know it may have seemed like I dropped off the face of the earth. I kind of did. And it was turned out to be a very healthy and well refilling dropping off the face of the earth. It was sort of a combination of circumstances. A week ago Friday, some things happened in Sifwa that meant that I needed to step away and let some other people review the situation. And so I said, well, I won't be looking at email or Discord until this is resolved. Um, it was the ethical thing to do to remove myself and not attempt to influence anything. And I got some answers yesterday evening, so we'll be moving forward. More on that later. Sorry to be cryptic, but it's been a delicate and difficult situation. Uh, and this happened at the same time that, so Friday ended up being this very busy day, and I did not have time to do a podcast. And then this happened at the same time that on Saturday morning, I left to go on a trip up to Colorado and Wyoming, which I would love to tell you all about. And I just got back last night. So I will tell you all about that. First, I want to show you this came like right as I was leaving, but look at this cool box. For those of you not on video, it's Beneath These Cursed Stars by Lexi Ryan, who is a good friend. She's been a great friend over the years. Love Lexi. And it says, the new romantasy from the best-selling author of These Hollow Vowels. That sounds like vowels, and I meant to be These Hollow Vows. And I don't know if she says cursed or cursed, but I kind of like the doing the cursed. I also do blessed. It's one of those random things. So if you open this lovely box, inside there's another image. I'm not doing a good job of describing the images. I would say I have not described them at all, and I'm not going to try. But it's wonderful illustrated romantasy images. And then there's a quote inside that says, "You say your kiss is deadly, but every hour that passes, I feel more and more like I might die without it." Great stuff. And then there's wonderful stuff inside. There is this great little charm here that says "True Love's Kiss." And it says "Enter the Fey Realm." And then nested in the Easter grass, I don't know what you call that stuff, the crinkle stuff, green crinkle stuff, is a book, the book. And here it is, Beneath These Cursed Stars by Lexi Ryan. And isn't it beautiful? A gorgeous hardcover. If I'd been thinking, I would have taken it with me, but I set it aside so I could show you all on the podcast as I promised Lexi I would do. So this is book 3. The first one was These Hollow Vows, and then These Twisted Bonds. And it's so beautiful. And do you want to hear the BCC, the back cover copy, which in this case is the jacket flap copy, but armed with an enchanted ring that gives her death's kiss, Jazz has been sneaking away from the palace at night to assassinate her enemies. I love an assassin that actually assassinates people. I mean, that a lot of times I can think of one salient book that I don't want to annoy people by criticizing, but like the assassin was really foolish and didn't actually assassinate anyone. Not Jennifer Eastep. And Jennifer Eastep's assassin, Jin, does kill people and very cleverly. Anyway, Shapeshifter Felicity needs a miracle. Fated to kill her magical father, she's been using her unique ability to evade a fatal prophecy. When rumors of evil King Mortius's resurrection spread through the Shadow Court, Jocelyn decides to end himself once and for all. And Felicity agrees to take the form of the princess, allowing Jazz to covertly hunt Mortius and starting Felicity on the path that could finally take her home. While Jocelyn teams up with the charming and handsome Kendrick, Felicity sets out to get closer to the wild Fey King Misha. Kendrick helps Jocelyn feel something other than anger for the first time in 3 years, and Misha makes Felicity wish for a world where she's free to be her true self. Soon the girls' missions are at risk right alongside their hearts. The future of the human and fey realms hangs in the balance as fates intertwine. Between perilous tasks, grim secrets, and forbidden romances, Jocelyn and Felicity find that perhaps their stars are the most cursed of all. And there's the lovely Lexi Ryan. I adore her. Mwah, Lexi, gorgeous book. Thank you for sending it to me. Cannot wait to read. Uh, of course, I advise you all to do that. And yeah, and here's this great little necklace with the heart charm. Uh, Lovely little gift. So, yeah, so I ended up between feeling like or knowing that I had to step away from Sifwa stuff entirely and being on this trip anyway. I did not turn on my laptop I dragged it with me all over Wyoming and Colorado and did not turn it on for the entire week. So that means this morning when I turned it on, I had exactly 9,999 spam comments on my blog, which I am in the process of eliminating. So the trip, it was a good trip. It ended up being, um, yeah, restorative. I was working a fair amount, as many of you know. I mean, working emotional labor, working, right? Because as many of you know, my husband is legally disabled at this point. He has Parkinson's disease, and so uh, he needs a fair amount of help doing stuff. And my mom is, I'm totally outing you, Mom. You're going to be mad at me, but my mom is 82 and she has been widowed for the third time and she needs help with travel. So here's the whole thing that I did. On Saturday morning, I drove David up to Denver and we went to my stepdaughter's house and saw her and her husband and the teenage grandkids who were both sulky and delightful, as is the way of teenagers. And David hung out with them that evening, and then I went to my 40th high school reunion, which was very fun, way more fun than I expected. I ended up having a great conversation with this gal that we were like in theater together in high school. Yes, musical theater, and but we were never very close friends, and we ended up like talking a lot of the night. And at one point, she said, "Why were we not best friends in high school?" And I was like, "I know." Um, Loved seeing her, loved seeing other people. There was this one guy who was like hitting on all the women who didn't have wedding rings. He was going around and literally checking our ring fingers. Uh, I don't wear a wedding ring for multiple reasons, largely because I'm not actually married to David. We've been together for 33 years, but we never had a wedding. Complicated story. But I'm monogamous. He didn't ask that part, right? But he says to me, because he's like remembers kind of who I am. I think he was befuddled that he didn't remember exactly who I was. But he said, "You were one of the smart girls, and but you turned out hot." I put that on Threads. I was so amused by that. Um, the Some people thought that it's a compliment, and I suppose I should take it as such. I mean, happy that he thinks I've turned out hot. Totally bemused by the idea that somehow the smart girl could not also be hot, which was clearly how the dichotomy worked in his universe. Um, I talked to our class, who I thought was our class valedictorian, who corrected me that actually he was number two and someone else was number one. And I said that I thought that I was number seven or something like that. And he said, no, you were three or four. And I'm like, really? Are you sure? And he says, yes, I remember. So I was like, yeah, okay. Um, our school was different in that the grade valedictorian did not give the valedictory speech. We had auditions for that. I gave the valedictory speech because, I mean, I'm good at rambling on and yakking, right? Um, so that was, I don't know. It was interesting to have that conversation with him. His current partner wants to be a writer. So I was passing along advice, and that was just kind of cool, though, these 40 years later, to have that conversation. Um, Yes. And I also saw, going slightly out of order, on Wednesday for lunch, had high school, sorry, did not have high school, fortunately, had lunch with my high school boyfriend, my first love, and regular podcast listener, Kevin writes. Hi, Kev. Lovely to have lunch with Kev, who rather gleefully, and I think rightfully so, pointed out that in high school he had recognized the fact that I was not only a smart girl, but also a hot girl. And he took particular pleasure in my hotness in high school, for which I will always be be happy. First love, first lover, happy to still be good friends. And it was fun for him to see my mom, for them to see each other. But I get ahead of myself. So Sunday morning, David and I said goodbye to the uh, our daughter and drove up to Greeley, Colorado, where we connected with a couple of old friends from a martial arts school that we were in. Had a great conversation with them. That was emotional in some ways, very interesting to connect with them again. Then we got up to Cheyenne, Wyoming, to David's sister's house, where we had known she and her husband would be, obviously, and we knew that his brother and his brother's wife would be coming down from Buffalo, Wyoming. And then it turned out his other sister and her husband came also, and a few other assorted kids and cousins and so forth. And they had a big birthday party for him. Sunday was David's birthday. And his sister Kathy went to a great deal of trouble to cook a very nice dinner and make key lime pie. And we hung out and we had, it was just really great. It was nice to have all four siblings together again for the first time um, since pre pandemic. And so it was really, it was good. So then on Monday, I drove David down to Denver International Airport and parked, which ended up being a thing. I don't know if I'll have time to tell the story, but I'm going to tell you all. If you ever have to do short term parking at Denver International Airport, it exists. You don't have to do the long term parking. There's short term parking on the west side. Now we know. Now I know. Um, and I got a gate pass. You can just request that at the ticket counter. Get a gate pass to take someone who needs assistance all the way through. Another pro tip, go ahead and request the wheelchair. David is reasonably mobile, but on Thursday, jumping ahead again, when I took my mom back to the airport, we went ahead and did the wheelchair. And it's so nice because they expedite you through TSA. It's just, especially a huge airport like that, it was amazing. But David and I did it the hard way. I did the gate pass. We went through security, walked all the way to his gate, went and had lunch and everything. And I put him on the plane back to Santa Fe and then waited. My mom's flight was unfortunately a little bit delayed, but not too bad. She landed like an hour and a half later. It was supposed to be half an hour later, but best laid plans. And I met her at her gate and we walked out, which was hard for her. Thus the wheelchair later. Uh, and we went to our hotel in Cherry Creek in Denver. We stayed at the Halcyon, and it was fantastic. It was such a great choice. A local friend had recommended it. As soon as we checked in, we dumped our stuff in the room and went up to the rooftop pool. If you're in the area, you can go to the rooftop pool and bar restaurant. You don't have to be staying there. And it's so fun. There's great views of the whole city, of downtown, and of the mountains. And my mom and I had drinks and we had dinner, and it was a gorgeous evening, and it was really fun to be together. The downside is that it was hard for my mom to be in a different place after being in our house for a while. This is the first time she's traveled in a bit. Being in a hotel was challenging for her. She had a hard time remembering our hotel room number, and the elevator had one of those scanners so that you use your key card to scan before you can hit the number of your floor, and she just couldn't quite master that. It was just too different, and it really did put me in mind of the challenges that people face with that kind of changing technology. Also, the shower was difficult for her to work, and so I was having to help her with that. But we had a great time. We spent the mornings on Tuesday and Wednesday reading by the pool. We spent most of the day on Tuesday reading by the pool. Some friends came over and had lunch with us at the pool bar, so we didn't have to budge far. Wednesday, Kevin came and had lunch with us. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday evenings, we went out and had dinner with her old friends, her crew, the people that she partied with very hard in the 80s, people that I've known since I was in high school, early high school, and these wonderful ladies and gentlemen who kind of help usher all of us into adulthood. I remember them, like coming back from college and them handing me drinks and sort of being like, welcome to the party. And it was awesome, and it was great to see all of them again. um, and so then yesterday morning, I took my mom back to the airport, and this time wisely did the wheelchair. Actually, the people kind of talked us into it. They're like, do the wheelchair. Because my mom was tempted to be proud. She's like, well, I could do it. And I'm like, yeah, but why? Why? And that's what they're saying. Why? We'll expedite you through TSA, enjoy. And it was just, and she was, of course, back at this gate at the very end of B Concourse B66. She came in on 68, and it was just so nice to be able to wheel her all the way to the gate. And by the time we got there, she's like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't try to walk. And then my stepsister Hope picked her up on the other side, and so it worked great. And I left the airport and drove back to Santa Fe, blasted my tunes, and yeah, so that's sort of the saga of how I did not look at my computer for an entire week. It means I also didn't work on the book, but that's all right. I had a little bit of breathing room on it. I'm at 73,000 words out of a predicted 87. So I think, with this little bit of time away, I'm going to go back and revise from the beginning and then finish it off. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Should make the end of August release date. Um, I do have to I did do some business on my phone. My one email that comes to my phone is, like the one my editor has, my agent has, the emails I really want to see. And we're working on maps for Never the Roses, and also endorsement quotes. So that's a cool thing. I was just looking, Dorinda Jones read Never the Roses for me, and she sent me the nicest email. I woke up to it yesterday morning. She's put, the subject line is, I can't even, all caps with lots of exclamation points. And she says, oh my God, I don't even have words at this point. This book was so poignant, so devastatingly exquisite. I have so many questions, but I have to go to bed. She sent this at like 1:45 in the morning. LOL. I love everything about this story. How you set it up, the themes, the characters, the ending. All caps, many exclamation points. I haven't cried like that from a book in a long time. The ending was fucking gorgeous. Uh, and she sent me a little bit more tame endorsement quote. But isn't that lovely? So, yeah, I feel tanned, rested, and ready. For those of you who have been listening for a long time, my old joke. And I haven't even touched on the amazing news this week with Biden dropping out of the race. I know that I was very firm on here about the power of the incumbent and that Biden shouldn't, but I see the strategy now. I'm totally on board. I think it was a brilliant move by the Democrats, and I am 1,000% behind Kamala. So yeah, we understand the assignment, right? All right. You all take care. I will talk to you on Monday.